You know, for as much as the world is trying to progress to a better place, this movie can really show that a lot of times that's not the case. And it's something that I think this movie really heavily addresses. I think people should know about it.
They knew we weren't inferior. You don't escape trauma by ignoring it. You escape trauma by confronting it. I don't write questions. I write answers.
Origin is written and directed by Duvernay, who brought us Selma, as well as the Netflix critically acclaimed miniseries When They See Us. Stars Aujaune Ellis-Taylor, John Bernthal, Vera Farmiga, Audra McDonald, Nicey Nash-Betts, Nick Offerman, and Blair Underwood. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, the unspoken system that has shaped America and chronicles how lives today are defined by a hierarchy of human division. Having enjoyed both of her works, Duvernay is again now tackling race on a much bigger scale. Instead of it actually being directly towards race, and yes, it's a part of it, it's actually going after something much bigger, which is a caste system. And of course, this film is based off of Isabel Wilkerson's book, Caste, The Origin of Our Discontents. And the film discusses race through what this caste system is, how this caste system is used not only just here in America, but also Germany, and you have India. It's all connected. And that's what the real life Isabel Wilkerson was trying to do, which led to her critically acclaimed book. And so, I didn't know how this movie would go, but I can proudly say that I do think that Duvernay made a successful film overall. Here are some of the positives I found with this film. Performances, they're excellent. Aujaune Ellis-Taylor, who plays the real-life Isabel Wilkerson, is fantastic. This is somebody who truly wants to follow within the story. She is somebody who wants to be invested in it. She wants to feel like she is living through these stories as if she was there. And I think she is amazing throughout this entire movie, but you also see her personal life and the people that she's lost. And when Isabel Wilkerson needs to be in this vulnerable state, I think Aujaune Ellis-Taylor does that exactly. And I think, I'm going to be completely honest, guys, I think this is Oscar worthy. I think this is an Oscar worthy performance overall. She is so captivating and so powerful throughout this entire movie. And John Bernthal, who plays Wilkerson's late husband, Brett Hamilton, was also really good. Bernthal usually never does many roles like these. If you know his body of work, it's not something you would typically expect him to do something like this. But not only does he play a good husband who really cares about his wife, I just think that he tries to bring out the humanity in everybody. He is definitely the one that drives the emotion with the screen time that he's given. And I think really Taylor and Bernthal together, they're excellent. They are the definite part of the film. They are the ones that carry this movie throughout. And for that, the performances were amazing together. Nicey Nash-Betts, who plays Isabel's cousin Mariana, is also really good in the film. So she plays a cousin who really does deeply care about Isabel and what she's going through. She goes through so much tragedy throughout this movie that almost like she is the only person there who really is trying to comfort her and to go with her through her grieving process and to show how much she is truly loving for that. I think she also makes Mariana be a cousin who seems like you can have a normal conversation with. So there's a scene that Aujaune Ellis-Taylor has with her multiple times, but one in particular while they're at park. And they have this discussion back and forth on what Ellis-Taylor's Wilkerson is doing in this film and what she's discovering. And the conversation that they have back and forth fits naturally. It doesn't feel like one of those scenes that has to be thrown in there for the sake of moving the plot along. I think it is a normal conversation that is being told that I think they both play off really well. And I also think that Nicey Nash can also bring some of the laughs in the movie. She does have a few good jokes in the film that I think really work. But her and Taylor are excellent. You really instantly buy them as being cousins. So yeah, I think both of their chemistry together works very well. I also think that Duvernay's direction here is amazing. She really wanted to keep this film personal and complex by having it focus solely on Wilkerson. Sure, there are parts of the movie where it will focus on characters that Wilkerson brings up, but for the most part, it does focus on her throughout this entire film. And the conversations that Wilkerson has playing out with not just with her cousin or with her husband, but with her mom, as well as other people that she interacts with. The one-on-one banter, I think that's what really stands out among Duvernay's direction, is that she knows how to get those intimate moments. She knows how to keep it like a one-on-one conversation, or at the very least having a conversation that is, moving a narrative along, but making it poignant at the same time. I think that's what's really important. And I think that she knows how to handle these scenes really well. For that, I think she does an amazing job. But also, speaking of Duvernay, her writing in this movie is also phenomenal. I mean, there are so many conversations throughout this movie that feel like it's handled with maturity and courage. Having discussions on race scenes that Wilkerson has with one really feels real and intimate with each other. And also these discussions on how the different societies are linked together, how they've influenced each other throughout, is also complex, and I think it is done so well due to her writing. I also just think that she just knows how to capture how society is caught up within this caste system and how racism plays a part of it, because that's the thing, is that though racism we know is inherently bad, it's also part of this caste system. It's a caste system that is used by using that method to keep people down. That's how a lot of people for many generations have been oppressed, or at the very least have been discriminated against, because of this system that puts people in place. And that's why you have so many people that are just demeaning towards one another in that regard. But I think she does that very well. I also think that the cinematography is gorgeous. Matthew J. Lloyd keeps the film grounded throughout this entire film. He knows how to make sure that the camera stays within Wilkerson's perspective, what she's seeing, as well as capturing the complexity but the terrifying nature of bigotry. Seeing how people have been oppressed, minorities, different groups of people have been castrated from society, and how they are ultimately discriminated against based off of their religion, their gender, as well as really their race. And I also think that there are sequences that capture Wilkerson's mindset that I think are so beautiful and stunning to watch. I think it's amazing camera work. The score is amazing. Chris Bowers, who did King Richard and the most recent Color Purple, delivers a somber and powerful score. I really think that he knows when to capture the quieter moments, but he knows when to make a scene feel uplifting. He knows how to make it feel as if there is a silver lining to this. There is a bright future in this world. As much as it's dark, as much as it's cruel, and as much as we have to live with that, learning stuff like this, that's why I think the uplifting part is that we need to learn from these things to make sure that nobody has to go through this ever in their entire lives. But the score is fantastic throughout, really brilliant. I think the production is incredible. I think that it really feels like a small film that just tackles these big subject matters throughout. And again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record when I say this, but the movie feels grounded by making it feel personal, by addressing these issues that I think are what makes this film stand out. I also think the story is excellent, not just for Wilkerson's journey on how she discovered this caste system between the three nations of both America, India, and Germany, and how they are all linked together, but really it's Wilkerson's personal life that also struck a chord with me, seeing how she has to process grief. She has to handle how to deal with the fact that she is losing loved ones is devastating and tragic throughout. And I just think it's done very well as the themes of this film. Again, it's very complex. It addresses, of course, race, but it goes much bigger than that, in that it is more about a caste system. It is about how a system is being put into place to keep other people down, or to keep them in check by having other people be in this notion or in this belief that they need to be superior than others. So what they use is tactics to keep that system in line. And so with that, it goes deeper than just race. It deals with just a corrupt system, a system that I feel like has been used through generations, decades even, of systemic racism but oppression towards minority groups. And I also think that how this movie handles grief and how people process it and how to realize that even though they are gone and they have to realize that, they also have to move forward but know that they are with them throughout their entire life. And I also think the pacing and runtime of this film really works very well. I think each scene feels like it takes its time to tell its story, and with that, the pacing of those scenes works well, but it's also just the runtime I think fits perfectly with what this movie is going for. It's only about 2 hours and 15 minutes, so I think it tells everything it needs to say throughout its entire runtime perfectly. My only one issue with this movie that I have with it that's holding me back from giving this a perfect score is really there are points in the film where Wilkerson narrates some stories where it's on real life individuals. And as much as I do enjoy those, and the narration at the end makes sense for what Wilkerson is trying to convey, I feel like her explaining the story while it's also showing us those story sequences, I think to me just kind of the film because I just feel like it was holding it back from letting it just play out and letting the story tell itself rather than showing us whilst also telling us. And it's almost like an exposition heavy scene by doing that. I understand this is a history that I think some people may not know, but I feel like if you show us it and at the end reference those moments, then that could work rather than having to explain this all while showing us it. So I think that's what really holds the film back for me is really just sometimes the exposition heavy parts of those backstories of real life individuals. Overall, I think this film is another amazing outing for Ava DuVernay, and I hope she continues to make movies not only of this caliber, but just I think of just great filmmaking because I think that she is a very talented filmmaker when she is given the chance to really tell stories like these or at the very least tackle these themes in some way. I would give Origin a 9 out of 10. I really thought it was amazing, you guys, and I was really pleasantly surprised on how much this really stuck with me. Even after I left the film, it really did. And I am just happy to have, at the very least, got a chance to see it and also support it because, unfortunately, this came out and I just feel like not a lot of people really talked about it, or even up to its release, nobody was really addressing it. If you ever get a chance to see it, I recommend it. I highly do. So I will be doing my one last review for January, which is The Kitchen, and then after my review for The Kitchen, I will have reviews up for Man Web as well as Bob Marley's One Love. So yeah, look forward to those reviews and other movie TV show reviews coming soon.